Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of the Casual Tryhard Podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And this is the Hurricane Edition.
It is. Our studio might not be here next week, so you better listen while you can.
Yeah, we might get blown away. All of South Carolina is evacuating, but we're here for you.
We got you.
Yeah. If you have an event on the coast, you probably don't anymore.
Yeah, you probably don't have an event on the coast anymore.
So this week, kind of grab bag, we're going to talk a little bit about New Modern.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the announcement about Arena and Historic and maybe kind of what to plan to do if you're interested in playing Historic going forward.
Yeah.
And then the normal Arena stuff.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of everything this week, so.
So if you want to get a hold of us and give us some ideas or ask us any questions, you can tweet at us at Casual Tripod on Twitter.
Yep. You can hit us up at Casual Tryhard MTG on Facebook. You can email us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com. You can find us on YouTube at Casual Tryhard MTG, and tell all your friends about us. Spread the word.
We have New Modern now.
We do.
We have Modern without fun by Faithless Looting.
Yeah, without no Hogak, no Faithless Looting, but we got a new friend in Stoneforge Mystic.
We got a new friend in Stoneforge Mystic, a 4-mana 1/4 that wins games when it resolves.
Felidar Guardian?
Well, there's Felidar Guardian. I was thinking more of a Urza.
Yeah, I know that's what you were thinking of.
Yeah, but I guess Felidar Guardian is also a 1/4 that wins you the game when it resolves a lot of times.
The deck got better, so.
Yes. There was a Magic Online deck dump on Friday.
Was it Thursday? It might have been Friday.
I think it was Friday because I left work early to put together a Modern deck because I didn't have one because all my cards got banned. I listened to the Arena Decklist podcast. They did like a live Twitter show. Mm-hmm. It ended up being 3 hours long. Yeah,
they went through every list, right? There was 80-some lists.
They went through 88 lists.
Yeah.
Of all the decks that were spoiled, and some of the times they're just like looks bad and like moved on,
right.
And other times they kind of talked through them a bit. But the takeaway was that in that first deck dump of 88-50 Magic Online deck lists, 29 of them had Stoneforge Mystic in them, so about a third.
That's crazy.
Which, it makes sense though, right?
Well, kind of, but it's also crazy because, like, when they do these deck dumps, they look for decks that are 10 cards apart.
10 cards apart, yeah.
So all of those 29 lists had to be different enough that they weren't considered the same list for their, like, calculator or whatever.
Yeah, for their aggregator.
Yeah.
Which, does, like, push out, like, there might have been, like, 2 or 3 Tron lists.
Yeah.
But there might have been a ton of Tron just crushing it.
Right.
But because they're always the same deck list.
Yeah.
You don't see...
Yeah, it only pings once instead of...
Yeah, you see, like, mono blue Tron.
Yeah.
And then you see mono green Tron. Yeah. And it's like, oh, only 2 Tron decks. It's like, well, no, people probably just smushed with Tron, but they all just played the exact same 75.
Yeah.
Or close to it. This also makes sense because, like, whenever a new card gets unbanned, or everyone just plays it.
Right.
So it might just be overrepresented in the number of people that played it.
Yeah, the whole format's trying to figure out what the best Stoneforge shell is right now, so.
Yeah. So it's probably not a third of the decks are Stoneforge decks.
Although there was a third of our FNM on Friday was Stoneforge decks, wasn't it?
I think. Were there 2 Urza decks and...
Well, it was you, Bowman, and Christus, right?
Christus was also on... He was on Stoneforge, but he wasn't on Urza, though, was he?
Okay. I don't think he was on Urza, but was on Stoneforge.
Okay. So
and Logan was on... no, Logan was not on Stoneforge.
Logan and Jesse were on Ephemerate.
Yeah.
Bant Soul Herder.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about, like there's going to be this first week, there's going to be a lot of bad Stoneforge decks to maybe good Stoneforge decks. And so there were probably a lot of bad Stoneforge decks in this mix. But the decks that like showed up were like the Urza decks with Stoneforge. There were just more strong, like blue-white. I just played straight blue-white.
Yes.
And then there were some mono-white, like Death and Taxi, aggressive decks with Stoneforge, kind of in that humans mold. And then just like some blue-white control decks where they were like sideboarding Stoneforge plus like 2 Batter Skulls and another sword and just being like, well...
Bring the package in.
Yeah, bring it in. Like, you cut all your removal, Stoneforge, Batter Skull, kill you.
Yeah.
So there was a lot kind of going on. And we have here that the format will kind of congeal eventually around the best Stoneforge deck.
Yeah, once the best Stoneforge deck is found, then the rest of the format can kind of figure out how to combat it. Like right now, all the Stoneforge decks are trying to do different things. We're going to talk about the SCG data next, but there was, I think every round there was a different shell for Stoneforge to be in. And that makes it hard for the other decks in the format to kind of figure out what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So over the next couple weeks, I expect the format to congeal a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to find the best pure Stoneforge deck. We're going to find probably the best decks to have 6 cards in their sideboard to be a transformational sideboard into something that just involves Stoneforge and Batterskull and winning the game.
Yep.
So, I mean, you could see something like Ad Nauseam.
Mm-hmm.
They have access to white mana. Your opponent cuts all their removal, and you just jam in Stoneforge and Batterskull, and you might dilute your combo a little bit, but still just have oh look, you die now.
I played this card and won the game.
Yeah. So it's gonna take a little bit of time for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had SCG Dallas, which I'm sure everyone was planning to play decks on last Sunday that didn't have Hogak in them.
Right.
And then we blew up the format, and then they had 4 days to come up with decks. I'm hoping that many people spent more time than I did for F&M, where I just went home and threw together a deck I found on SCG Premium.
Yeah.
It's got to be good. It was behind a paywall, right?
There was actually, I know you said before we started you didn't watch a whole lot of the coverage, but there were some really sweet lists.
Yeah.
There was one that was green-white Eldrazi with Stoneforge that looked sweet. That deck looked cool. I'm trying to think what else there was.
The green was for Ancient Stirrings, I assume?
Stirrings and Noble.
Okay.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet. Definitely a cool list. There was a bunch of different, Wurza builds. It was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it is neat. It's kind of just the first weekend of New Standard, where everyone's just oh, hey, this is super neat. I'm going to try this. So you see a bunch of, different decks.
Yeah.
So we have here that there were no Stoneforge Mystic decks in the top 8. I don't know about beyond that. But
number 9 was a Stoneforge deck.
Number 9 was a Stoneforge deck.
Yep.
It was won by 4-color Wurza.
Yep.
With Goblin Engineer instead of Stoneforge.
Yeah, it had no Stoneforges. Engineer, I don't know what the right build of that deck is. Engineer can get all the pieces of your combo plus lock pieces if you need them, whereas Stoneforge just gets the sword.
Just gets the sword, but it does give you the Batterskull sword, other sword plan.
Yep.
And Goblin Engineer puts the sword in the graveyard to allow you to immediately start comboing as opposed to having to cast it.
Yeah.
Was it Harlan Fear? Was it who won it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he spent some time on Magic Online, but he may have had I think he was playing this before the Hogak ban.
Yeah.
So he may have had a bunch of reps on this deck and didn't have time to get to the point where he thought he could be proficient with the Stoneforge deck.
Well, I mean, this deck, I'm looking at the list right now. It definitely looks like it was built with Stoneforge in the meta. He's running 2. Well, maybe not. I was going to say he's running 2 Galvanic Blast main, but that...
A lot of them were running that before. We're running 1 or 2 beforehand.
Yeah.
But it could just be that he had a list he was happy with and couldn't get to a point where he was happy with the Stoneforge version.
Yeah. Especially on a limited time frame.
Yeah, you have 4 days.
Yeah.
And one of those days was travel, and from what I understand from Twitter, no one could get to Dallas.
Yeah.
Everyone was just having a nightmarish time getting there.
The 9th place list, the first, I guess the highest placing Stoneforge list was black-white, and that's also kind of an odd list.
Okay, there was Gabrielle Steve has a video up on Channel Fireball with black-white Stoneforge.
With Bloodghasts?
That I don't know. I haven't looked at the list.
Yeah.
I just saw the video. But I know Jerry T was talking about just how Inquisition or Thoughtseize in the Stoneforge is probably a way to win a lot of games where you clear away their removal, play your Stoneforge, get your Batterskull, and then turn 3 you get to Thoughtseize or Inquisition them again, and then play your Batterskull. They presumably won't have an answer, and then you get to win. Yeah.
This list is actually kind of cool. It's it's a smallpox list, so it's running 4 smallpox, 4 Inquisition, 3 Thoughtseize, Bloodghast as sack fodder. It's also running Gideon Ally of Zendikar.
There we go.
Yeah, Liliana of the Veil, the Stoneforge package, Lingering Souls. It looks pretty cool. 4 Flagstones. Actually, this deck is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind Flagstones.
Yeah, I'm kind of digging this.
Yeah.
Silent clearing, shambling event. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're like, I mean, there's been a white black Pox deck in Modern for a long time. It's floated around. There are people that like really like it.
Yeah.
But it's never been really good enough.
Yeah.
And maybe jamming Stoneforge how many Batter Skulls? Like one? Just one Batter Skull?
One Batter Skull, one Sophie is all that's in the main deck.
Yeah, so like maybe just being able to jam Stoneforge plus...
That's all that's in the deck.
That is 4 Stoneforge to get?
Yeah, 4 Stoneforge gets 1 Batter Skull and 1 Sophie. There is nothing in the sideboard.
There you go. But like just having that package might make the deck good enough that you deny them cards and lands and then you get to beat them. Yeah,
the deck only needed a threat.
Yeah, it only needed like a consistent threat, and a 4/4 lifelinker is good enough. Now, the Day 2 metagame, it's what we said it was going to be, in that people were just going to revert to powerful linear things.
Yeah, that punish people that are trying to do sweet things, testing out a new format.
Yeah, and so there were 21 burn decks in Day 2 and 3 in the top 8.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And, like, it's kind of gone under the radar, but burn, depending on the build, right? In the last few sets, burn has got another lightning bolt and skewer the critics.
It's also gotten some card draw in light up the stage.
And, I mean, depending on how big of a madman you are, you have a risk factor. You have a bunch of you've got, like, 3 cards in the last, like, 2 or 3 sets that just slot right into that deck and take up space from cards that were just, like...
mediocre.
Yeah, mediocre to bad.
Yeah, it also got the Horizon land, too.
Yeah.
Which is a big pickup.
Yeah, so it got a lot of help.
Yeah.
And... if you remember Modern from like 4 years ago, like kind of when I started playing Modern, I played a lot of Burn, and Burn was like everywhere.
Yeah.
To the point where like every sideboard had like 4 Leyline of Sanctities.
Yeah.
And like as a Burn player, these are just all the decks I play. But like it was like, well, I have to cut 4 cards so I can put in my 4 answers to Leyline because they could just have Leyline and then I lose.
Right.
And if people aren't playing Leyline and they're not playing like Timely Reinforcement, they just lose. Like there's just not enough time. Like you resolve your Urza and it's like, well, can you kill me right now?
Yeah.
Because if I get to untap on my turn 4, I can kill you.
Right.
And so it doesn't give you it's very punishing. There's not a lot of like wiggle room. If your next deck is Urza, like okay, like maybe they can make their Urza on turn 3, combo you out on turn 4 is like best case. Or, I think combo turn 4 is probably best case for that deck.
Yeah.
You can just have them dead.
Right.
Next deck was Tron.
Yeah.
Which, that's a god-awful matchup for Tron. I'm going to play an Expedition map. Well, now you're at 13.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're gonna play a card? Okay, I'm going to Lightning Bolt Boros Charmer. Good game.
Yeah. Thank you very much for playing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you spent your first 2 turns doing stone nothing that mattered.
Yeah.
And then Titan Shift, again, like powerful big mana deck. I know that the game podcast or Arena deck list, we're talking about like big mana being good now. Just trying to go over the top of like Urza.
Yeah.
But again, that deck,
it's
depending
what makes
on
burn good.
Yeah, like Titan Shift, if it's like Scape Shift in prime time, like you're doing your thing on turn 4, probably consistently 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't know if they lumped Amulet Titan into Titan Shift or not. I don't know why they would, but that's right off Star City's website was Titan Shift. So.
Yeah, so if that's the case, like again, like you get your 7th land on turn 4 or 5.
Yeah, and
well, you're just dead.
Right.
If you're not doing your thing until turn 4.
Yeah, if
you might just be dead.
Yeah, if you've done nothing on turns 4 and 5 and Modern against Burn, you're dead. The game's over.
Then Jund, which again, powerful deck that seems like it has gotten a lot of things to be better.
Yep.
Humans, old standby. Blue-white control. That's like another like Stoneforge-y kind of deck that could have like the Stoneforge package in it.
Yeah, and again, like you were saying earlier, that they might just keep it in the sideboard and bring it in.
Yeah. And then Grixis Death Shadow, again, a deck that was good a year to 18 months ago.
Yep.
Remember when we needed to ban Death Shadow?
Yeah, how about those times?
Those were simpler times.
Yeah.
Prowess, which is just burn.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's burn that has like 3 more creatures in it.
Yeah, especially now that like Faithless is gone, it's a lot fairer deck than it used to be.
Yeah. You don't have as many like I have 2 lands. Oh, now I have 2 spells and dealt you like 12 damage.
Right.
Like you don't have those.
Yeah.
Those draws anymore. And then we have Infect.
Yep.
Again, a like powerful linear like creature based deck. This is something we talked about at our FNM.
Yeah.
With like me and Bowman, where it's like, how do you beat Infect? Like
you don't.
Ever?
Yeah.
Like with Urza.
Yeah.
Like the deck that won, you said had 2 Galvanic Burlesques.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably all the removal in the main deck.
Yeah, I believe it was.
I played Stone 0 removal in my main deck. I think Bowman had like 2 Fatal Pushes in the main.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if they just go like Blighted Agent go, you're just like, well, I'm dead now.
Yeah.
There are probably draws where if they just go like Glistener Elf go.
Mm-hmm. You're just dead.
Yeah, you like play your 2 mana thing that doesn't block and you have no removal in your deck or very little, and then you lose.
Yeah.
Like, Infect is a deck that could be good. The problem is if like a third of your field is burn.
Right, yeah, that's
like
rough.
That is like the nightmare matchup. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all your cards say kill target infect creature.
Yeah.
I only have 12 of them.
Jun's not a great matchup for burn.
Jun's not a
either.
great matchup either.
Yeah.
But you can see where we just kind of fell back to 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Where we're just like, well, these decks were good a while back.
Yeah. Judging by this day 2 breakdown, there is an awful lot of big mana decks to keep Jund in check, though.
Yeah, like if there's like Tron and Titan Shift.
Yeah.
Like that's just like, that's 25 of the, I'm assuming 60 or so, 70 or so decks.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
I can't
how
do all this
many
math
there
in my
were.
head.
Well, I didn't break them all out. That was only the most highly represented
This was like
ones.
a big day too, because just looking at it, like there's like 80 decks here.
Yeah. I'll let you know in 1 second. Let me check here.
But yeah, like if a third of your day 2 is like big mana decks to like poop on Jund.
There were 141 players day 2 of an open.
How small was it? Because that usually happens when you have a really small field, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where they have to like, to get to 64, the cut ends up going down to like...
It was 18 points.
Oh, so it was still 6-3.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's kind of low, but yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's a huge day 2.
Yeah.
It's like, usually they want 64, not 140.
Yeah. There was, like, the next couple were Amulet Titan, Bant Stoneblade, Eldrazi Tron, Storm, Ebsen Company, Hardened Scales, and then you're into, like, one-ofs.
Yeah. Black-White Stoneforge would be one of those one-ofs, I'm assuming.
Hey, that deck looks sweet. Like, that deck almost makes me wish I didn't sell my Stoneforges the other day. That deck looks cool. I would play that deck.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Pox archetype has been around. It's just... Like, there have been some videos, and there is, like, a dedicated, like, black-white Pox, like, Facebook community and stuff.
Yeah, but there's a Facebook community for everything.
There is. I'm in the Arclight Phoenix, but it's only modern. I wanted some sweet legacy tech, but but the people were just like, the deck's still good. Look, I went 3-0 at my FNM. The deck's still good.
No, man, it's not good.
And it's like,
Yeah, I'm in the, the Jund Facebook group. Yeah. And I apologize to any of our listeners if they are in the Jund Facebook group, because there are a lot of people in that Facebook group that are looking for somebody to pilot the deck for them and not, like, learn how the archetype works. It seems like there's a lot of noise in there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of noise in this one, too.
Yeah. Stuff
pops up. I like it list periodically. I should, like, join, like, I should find, like, the Dark Depths Facebook group. Be like, there we go. These are my people.
I try and pop in there as often as I can and just, like, tell them, what I think about the archetype and matchups and card choices or whatever, but I've seen so many questions asking the exact same thing over and over and over and over. I'm like, man, I don't want to read any more of this.
New Modern is what we thought.
Yep.
And I think over the next... It's probably going to take, like, a month for us to kind of, like,
Yeah, it might
settle
even
down.
take a little bit more than that
If
because we're coming up.
throws stuff in there.
Yeah, we're coming up on rotation, so some of the focus is going to come off of Modern and be on Standard for a little bit, be on some of the new cards. You don't know what kind of new cards Eldraine's going to kick up. We also have like some interesting stuff coming up with Eldraine that might take focus away from Modern.
Yeah, there's some like event this week. Did you see all the stuff on Twitter about all the streamers and stuff getting invited to some like event on Twitch on the Magic channel?
Oh yeah, September 4th, I think.
Yeah, so like Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
I don't have work tomorrow because hurricane, so I might have more time to edit this and get it out for you guys to see this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some event happening then, and then they've already released the pre-release like lineup from Loading Ready Run that happened today. So like over the next like 3 weeks, it's just gonna be because spoilers are gonna start soon.
They are, yeah. Next week, this week, next week,
Probably next week.
this week,
Oh God.
I think. Wow, really?
Yeah. Which like I'm off of this standard format. Like I'm good.
Yeah, this week, because pre-release is the 27th, so the whole set's got to be spoiled by next Monday. They'll start next Monday.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready for this standard format to go away, though.
Yeah,
I'm afraid. I know what next standard format's going to look like, and it's going to look an awful lot like this standard format.
Yeah, I'm kind of off of this standard. I mean, that kind of makes sense if you look at like the most popular decks right now. Like obviously, Scape Shift loses Scape Shift, so that's probably not going to be around anymore.
But there's a lot of those decks that are just 5-color Golos, no Scape Shifts.
Yeah.
But I think like unless something like crazy happens in Eldraine, here you go, hot tip: get Hydroid Krasis and Nissas.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of Nissas. I don't know what she's worth, but I bought a bunch before the set came out because like this seems busted.
Yeah.
But like the blue-green ramp decks are going to exist almost completely and totally unchanged.
Yeah.
In new standard, like you lose Llanowar Elf, which is a beating, but like the engine of like Risen Reef and Nissa and Hydroid Krasis is real good. And if they print like any reasonable blue or green cards,
right,
just gonna be like, oh, this
looks like we're doing this.
This is awful. Like this is all we're gonna do. Yeah. So I would like, because like right now, preview on the arena stuff, there are like 3 or 4 different blue-green ramp decks that are just ramping into different things that like have some like superfluous stuff. It's like, oh, I want to like quasi-replicate an Agent of Treachery. Okay. Oh, I just want to cast a giant Hydroid Krasis and Cavalier of Thorns. Okay.
Sure.
Right, but it's just like there's like 45 cards that are the same, and it's like, well, what do you want to ramp into?
Right.
Pick your giant thing.
Yeah. Pick your poison.
With this talk of rotation, Wizards is starting to address rotation as a thing. And on Thursday, there was the arena state of the beta.
Yeah, it was either Thursday or Friday, I think.
Yeah. It couldn't have been Friday because I watched the Twitch thing.
It was probably Thursday then.
So we're like, again, the state of the beta is they come and they talk about what improvements are coming / like what things they've changed recently. And the big focus this time was on what they're going to do because of rotation. Yeah,
so on release weekend for Throne of Eldraine, it's September 26th on Arena or October 4th in paper. We're going to have a rotation. So we're going to lose Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, Dominaria, and Core 19. They are not going to be standard legal anymore. We're going to gain Throne of Eldraine at that time, but you won't be able to play with any of those sets in standard any longer.
Yeah. Goodbye, but you will not be missed. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and Nexus of Fate. I think many of us will be glad to see those go.
Goodbye and good riddance.
Yes. As you know from playing Arena, if you're playing Arena, right, unlike a lot of other digital card games, I know that Hearthstone, and I've not played Hearthstone and then Eternal, They have some sort of dusting or system where you destroy a card and you get some percentage of another card.
Yeah.
Arena doesn't do that.
Right.
Right. Your extra copies go to your vault progress. Right. So all the cards that you have that are in these sets that are leaving, there's no way to kind of turn them into new standard cards.
Right.
Like they just exist.
Right.
They want to try to, 1, ease us into the new standard, and 2, give us something to do with all of these cards that we have accumulated. So how are they going to ease us into new standard?
So on September 9th, So on Monday, they're going to start, I don't know what they exactly called them, but we're going to call them Get Ready for Rotation events. They're events that will be most of New Standard. They're like pre-rotation events. So starting Monday, you can open up these events, and it'll only be Guilds, Allegiance, War, and Core 20. You won't be able to play with any of the stuff that's rotating. These events are going to be free to enter. You don't have to pay like a constructed event or whatever. You don't have to pay to get into them. Every 2 wins gets you 200 XP with no limit. So this is a great way to kind of get a feel for a little bit of what the format's going to be like after rotation. Obviously, we don't know anything that's in Eldraine yet, so it's going to feel different once Eldraine drops. But it's also a great way to get you caught up on your Mastery Pass.
Again, ramp into stuff.
Yep.
That is what you're going to just see.
Yeah.
People going over the top of other people.
Yep.
So go bigger somehow. What is the biggest thing you can do? Do that.
Do that.
The Mastery Pass, I know for me, I didn't buy the Mastery Pass, the actual purchased one, until I hit level 72 where you stop getting rewards.
Yeah.
And I bought it there, and with all the rewards that I got, I think instead of it was 3,400 is how many gems it is. Mm-hmm. I think it ended up with all the rewards costing me 1,300 gems or something.
That's crazy.
So by the time I opened all the packs and got 20 gems from all the rares, and then got the gem rewards and stuff, it ended up being not very much. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it feels good to get a bunch of goodies all at once.
Yeah,
it's worth it if you get up pretty far, and this is a way to get up pretty far. As much as I would like you all to keep entering ranked data, I totally understand if you spend the next few weeks just grinding your
XP.
Your XP, that is perfectly fine, totally understandable. I'm sure I will do that some as well. Usually when they give me another event to do that is not playing the same handful of matchups, I will do that. Now, granted, if it is just everyone playing Nissa on turn 3.
That'll get old after a while.
I'll probably
too.
get off it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, well, this has been fun. But it's going to be fun, but it's going to, again, like you said, it's not going to be actual New Standard because there's always a handful of cards in that new set that's going to throw something on us here. We're saying now, oh, hey, you should play some Nissa ramp deck.
Right.
And then, they're going to print Dampening Dude, that's a 2/3 flyer for white that says you lands can't tap for 2 mana, and then whatever other dumb thing Dampening Sphere does. Every spell costs one more than the first.
Yeah.
And you're just going to be like, oh, well, I guess I can't play this because everyone just plays Dampening Dude now.
Yeah.
And I can't do this. Or there'll be some ridiculous red card.
Yeah. It makes mono red a thing again.
Yeah. Because, they have to be aware that, or had to be aware that, blue-green ramp was going to just be, the thing.
Yeah.
I feel recently in, Standard, since, play design has been a thing, I feel there's a lot more, WOTC pre-con decks.
Yeah, kind of.
Where,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Hey, it's this format. We've given you all the tools to do this thing.
Yeah.
We know you're going to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And then the next set, they're like, well, we're going to do our best to make that not a thing now.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you this new
Something
thing to
else.
do. It just feels like every, set, there's been just, a new thing to do that just kind of, invalidates the thing to do
thing.
from the sets before.
Yeah.
And that feels really different than, how Standard has been.
Right.
Historically.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's a lot more stuff that's just hits you over the head. You're supposed to do this. Mm-hmm. We told you to do this. Why aren't you doing this?
Yeah, there's less decks to find in a format. When was the last time? I guess it's kind of the thing with Kethis.
Kethis is a found deck.
Yeah. But that used to be the norm, where you'd come into a standard format, a couple weeks before rotation, and all of a sudden there's a brand new archetype that hadn't been there before.
I think when Energy was the thing, there was that Anointed Procession deck. There was also
the Hidden Stockpile.
The Hidden Stockpile deck. There was the Cloud Blazer decks. There were a bunch of blue-white Cloud Blazer decks that were clearly just piles of cards that worked well together. But less just hey, here are all the pieces. Zombies was a hey, here are all the pieces deck.
Yeah.
You just played all the cards that said zombie on them, and it was good. But now I just feel the last few sets have been here's a deck.
Yeah.
Here's another deck.
Go buy your
Here's
cards,
another
build
deck.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, now they're like, Vampires is not a deck. Like, they're like, this is not a deck. Here's Sorin. You have a deck for 3 months.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs has not been a deck. Here's Marauding Raptor and Rotting Regisaur. You have a deck now.
Yeah.
Play it for a few months. So it just feels weird. So, like, you don't know what, like, archetype they're going to decide, like,
is the next thing.
Yeah, like, hey, maybe it's red, white, tribal gingerbread men.
Right.
And you're like, I've got to play tribal gingerbread men.
Yeah.
And so you're just playing gingerbread men every turn.
Hey, who knows? Maybe gingerbread men's the best card that's ever been printed.
Maybe.
We'll find out next week.
We will. 1 mana, 12/12.
Phyrexian gingerbread man?
Hexproof. Can't be blocked. Must eat one gingerbread man when casting this card.
Yeah.
It's like part uncard, part like real card. So we've got those events.
Yeah. Another reason to sign in and get into that ready for rotation event, or any event really. But everyone who's logged into Arena before September 26th gets a goodie bag. Inside this goodie bag is 10 rares or mythics from any standard set. Now, this is going to be after rotation, so it's not going to be old standard sets. It's going to be Guilds, Allegiance, War, Core 20, and Throne of Eldraine. But it's 10 rares or mythics. This is just a freebie.
If you're sitting on the fence about, like, should I, like, open an Arena account?
Yeah.
Like, even if you just open it this week to log in and note, put a login in there,
right.
And then, like, well, I want to start at Throne. Mm-hmm. Okay, just do it now, and you'll get 10 free cards.
Yep.
So, like, it can't hurt to just do it now. It's just basically free money.
Yep. It's a cool little bonus you get.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to, like, again, soften the blow of rotation.
Yeah.
Because, again, there's not a way to turn your Teferi Hero of Dominarias into, again, our mythical gingerbread man.
Right.
So, like, those cards are going to see less play. Mm-hmm. So they want to, like, make you feel not so bad about it, which is cool. I mean, they have to try to keep people happy.
Yep.
So the other way, other than bribing us with free stuff, that they're trying to, like, lessen the blow of rotation is they're going to start a new Arena-only format called Historic.
Yeah. I guess, like, the reason they're doing this is basically what you just said. They want to give us something to do with these cards that you can't use anymore. They announced this during the last State of the Beta, I think, but really didn't give many details on it.
And then they got a bunch of angry Magic nerds going like, this sucks, you should do this. And they were like, okay, we'll do some of the stuff that you guys said we should do. Yeah,
well, one of the things they said in the previous announcement was that it was going to be non-competitive.
Yes.
And they said, okay, you guys obviously want this to be competitive, so we're going to give you a ranked queue.
Yeah.
So there will be ranked queues available. I don't believe they're going to be right away. I think it said that the ranked queues are going to
December.
Yeah, come a little bit later on.
Yeah. Now the reason they said they didn't want to do ranked queues, like there's other, like they're not just trying to be dicks. The thought process is everyone wants to click and get a game right away.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know I get a little antsy at like the 45-second to a minute mark when it's counting, and I'm like,
I get a little antsy at like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah. So they have to do enough to keep enough people in the various queues to make sure that there are quick fire times.
Right.
If they have like 7 different things going at a time, you're diluting your players out across 7 things as opposed to across like 3.
Yeah, and they also announced that they're going to be doing Brawl on Arena.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's going to take people out of the queues.
There was a video a couple weeks ago from Pleasant Kenobi and the Professor. They just clicked on the Magic Online Brawl queue, and it was just one dude waiting on someone to go into the Brawl queue so he could play Brawl. And that's what they're trying to avoid with Arena. They don't want you to go into the Historic queue and there be like 5 people playing Historic, and you be the 5th one, so you have to wait for their match to end, then them to like go back in the queue to get a game. They always want to make sure that there's 3,000 people in the queue, so it's easy for you to fire a game.
Yep.
So that's their thinking, but also, like, didn't we, like, blow past the billion games played mark on Arena, like, within 6 months?
Yeah, I really don't think they have to worry about people firing queues, unless the format's just awful.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, like...
Fix it.
Yeah.
Originally, Historic was just going to be, like, basically everything from Ixalan forward.
Yeah, which kind of sounds dumb, because it's basically standard.
Standard plus Throne.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like, well, I don't want to play a non-competitive format that just has
Standard plus
Throne of Eldraine. So non-competitive thing they fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to just be like any of the other competitive queues where you're going to grind rank and you can hit Mythic and all this stuff. You know, brief side note, this is just 1,000 more people that get thrown into the, like, gladiatorial arena of MCQ weekend.
Is it?
Yeah, because they said you can make it to... They specifically said you could make it to the MPL by playing the...
Right, but there's 2 ranks, right? There's constructed rank and limited rank.
So does it count towards your constructed rank, or they? I wasn't
sure. Do you think they're going to have a historic rank? I think it would just be constructed.
It may just be constructed. Okay, scratch that. Maybe but you can still rank up that way.
Right.
And so they wanted to give us something more than just old standard. So how they propose to do that?
They're going to put new cards in. So when I had initially read this announcement, the next point hadn't been released yet, and it just said new cards. So I assumed that they meant new cards.
See, I thought they just meant, like, I didn't realize. I thought they meant, like, old cards that were already in Arena. Like, hey, here's Looter Scooter.
Well, I mean, I thought that they were going to put new cards in there.
Like newly designed cards?
Like brand new cards.
Okay.
But that's not the case. What they're actually doing is putting in cards that kind of define archetypes from, like, other formats, it looks like.
Or just cards that have, like, historical significance, that are historically powerful cards or well-known cards in Magic.
Yeah, so they gave 3 examples. One of them is Brainstorm, like the reason people play Legacy, right?
Yeah.
Another one is Dark Confidant, our friend Bob. Probably one of the best 2-drops in the game. Definitely the best black 2-drop in the game.
Yeah.
And the third is Wormcoil Engine.
In the running for, like, probably the second best 6-drop ever printed.
Yeah. It's like
Prime Time is better, and that's about it.
That's it, yeah. It's also, like, what every ramp deck ramps into.
Yeah. If Tron can't, like, Karn you or play an Ugin...
Yeah.
They're playing a Wormcoil.
Right.
Like, that's their other thing. Like, I guess I should have a creature. It's Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah.
Well, this is neat.
Mm-hmm.
I worry that, like, depending on what they print, like, you're just going to have to play that card. Much like the whole idea of, like, a WOTC precon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you go, like, turn 3 Nissa, your turn 4 is probably going to have to be a Wormcoil Engine, because there's not going to be a whole lot better you can do.
Yeah, I can't think of anything better to do.
Right, like, cool, I made a 4/4 Hydroid Crisis and drew 2 cards. I made a 6/6 that you can't kill.
Right, because if you do, it's 2 3/3s.
So, I win this exchange, do I not?
Yeah.
It has lifelink and death touch. Can you race me? No, you cannot race me.
Okay, good game.
Good game.
Yep.
So, I know that they brought up that when they brought this idea to, like, the development team, apparently Aaron Forsyth made a question statement, which was, so you want us to help you with this, right? Like, we are going to help you with this because you can break this real bad. So I don't know. I think they put these cards out to get people hype.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, they didn't actually say these cards were going to be, like, in the format.
Like these cards.
Right.
Cards like this.
Yeah.
Because they have to realize, like, there's been nothing printed in the last 2 years as good as Wormcoil Engine.
Even remotely close.
There's nothing that's been printed at 2 mana and black that is as good as Dark Confidant.
Well, I mean, we kind of had Bob already. Like last format, we had an Energy Bob. Bobby.
We had
that was close.
That was close, but not like...
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not Bob.
Nothing from Ixalan.
Right.
Right? Like, we have the Raid Bob.
Yeah, not...
Not good. It's
Not
3
Bob.
mana Raid Bob. Like
Yeah.
when you attack at the end of turn, you get to reveal a card, so you don't get to use it that turn.
Right.
And then there's Twilight Prophet, which is 4 mana, and if you have the City's Blessing,
Yeah.
it reverse bobs. You
Right.
get the card, and your opponent takes the damage.
Yeah.
Right? None of them quite bob.
No, definitely not.
So they might have to pick cards that are a little bit like powered down as to not just totally break the format and make it about these cards.
Yeah. So what kind of things? I know I'm going to kind of spring this on you because we didn't really talk about this, but like, what kind of cards would you like to see added to Historic?
You got to do things that aren't too powerful, that aren't going to break stuff. So we mentioned Gideon Ally of Zendikar. Like, does that make the white deck that you would be able to put together too good if, like, your top end is Gideon, as opposed to, like, Venerated Loxodon? Like, it might make it better against, like, control.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can't put, like, Lightning Bolt in the format that has, like, you know, the second most busted, like, mono red deck we've had in the last, like, few years.
Yeah, you don't want to give us Modern Burn by giving us Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, you don't.
Because
You
like the
can't-
rest of the deck, you can realistically play.
Yeah, you can't, like, do that. Like, your shocks become lightning bolts. Like,
Yeah.
yikes.
Like either Swift Spear or Soul Scar is probably fine though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it gives it a better, like, one drop. Like, they would both be better than Fanatical Firebrand.
Yeah. Well, they'd both be better than Lava Man too, right? Lava Runner.
I don't know, like, the fact that it becomes a 2/2 eventually.
Yeah, but like both of those are prowess creatures. Like they're going to be at least a 2/3 almost every turn.
Fair. Like, you could, like, give us some, like, perhaps less clearly playable, but, like, iconic cards, like old Nicobolus Planeswalker. Right? Like, that's a card that, like, you know, if you're Grixis, it's a thing that you want to try to do, but you don't, like, it's not, like, format warping.
What about Inquisition? Inquisition of Kozilek.
I think it depends on how powerful the rest of the format is, because, like, that effect is, like, deceptively super powerful.
Oh, it's great.
If there's a lot of powerful, cheap things that you need to have that as, like, a safety valve. But if not, like, you might end up, it's not as versatile as Thoughtseize, but you might end up in the, like, Abzan control, Abzan, like, decks from cons where you just
That's true.
had to play Bach to play Thoughtseize.
That's
And
true.
it was just silly not to.
Yeah.
So, like, it could warp it to, like, where... Could you imagine, like, the current Esper control deck with turn 1 Inquisition, turn 2 Thought Erasure?
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Like, you just... I didn't get to play the game.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Like, they do, like, turn 1 that, turn 2 Thought Erasure, turn 3 Little Teferi, bounce whatever you played if you had anything left.
Ugh.
Like, you just are like, oh, I did not get to participate in this game of Magic.
Yeah, take your 1-drop, take your 2-drop, bounce your 3-drop.
Yeah,
Wrath.
it's like, yeah, Wrath, or then, like, you know, kill the thing you just played, Big Teferi.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. So, I don't know, like, those kind of cards are, I don't know what would be, like, a reasonable, like, Sun Titan. Like, you could play
Sun Titan
Sun
be cool.
Titan, like, it's powerful, but it's not so ridiculously powerful. Like, we have, like, Vampire Sun Titan.
Right.
That's, like, it only gets creatures, and it's smaller, and only does it once, but, like, it's right on the edge of, like, what is, like, powerful enough. Like, the fixed Sun Titan, maybe regular Sun Titan is
Yeah.
fine. Like, you could probably print 2 or 3 of the Titans. You could do, like, Sun Titan,
Grave
Frost
Titan.
Titan, and I was going to say, like, Inferno Titan.
Well, I think Grave Titan's probably fine.
Yeah, you can't do Prime Time.
No.
No.
Sorry, buddy.
Field of the Dead, ramp into Prime Time, get a 6/6 and, like, 4 zombies. Like, ugh.
Yeah, that's gross.
Ugh. But you could probably put 3 of the Titans, or 3 or 4 of the Titans, and, like, I guess Wormcoil would be the honorary, like, it would be the Prime Time.
The honorary 5th Titan.
The honorary 5th Titan because Prime Time's too good. Like, I don't know if you could do something like Aetherflux Reservoir or some, like, combo-y thing.
Yeah.
Where, like a Kethis deck could Aetherflux Reservoir as its way to win the game.
Yeah.
And stabilize.
What if they threw us all for a loop and gave us Faithless Looting?
I mean, you would get, like, the Phoenix decks would be really good. Right? Like, that would, like, push that archetype to the top.
Yep. You'd have a backbone for a Reanimator strategy, maybe.
Yeah, with whatever the bond of
Yeah.
revival.
Yeah.
I think that, though, like, the cards they put in have to make new archetypes.
So that it's just not modern?
Well, I mean, make new archetypes so you're not just like taking the standard archetypes that you have and making them better.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't give stuff to make Esper control better. You need to like make stuff to make like some Naya silliness a better deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Wild Nakatl. Right now you have this like aggressive deck and you've got the shock lands. Like you can like play like this aggressive deck where you like Nakatl into...
That'd actually be kind of sweet if we got like Wild Nakatl and the...
Curd Ape?
Well, no, I was going to say the Cat Lord from Horizons.
Oh, there you go.
Because we've got a couple cats now, right? We got that the cat that gets counters for other cats.
The other cats, yeah.
And wasn't there a decent cat, and not decent, but like limited playable cat in War of the Spark? Or is that the one I'm thinking of?
That's the 1-mana white one.
Yeah.
And then there's Generous Stray, which is a 2/1, which is a 2 and a green for like a 1/1 or like a 2/2 that draws a card when it comes into play. That's a cat.
Yeah, that might not be good enough.
But no, like I think they need to look at like what are archetypes that like don't exist. I think they have to be careful about like anything that would push like Nexus too far, because like then the format just evolves into like Nexus.
Yeah.
And then no one wants to play the format because they don't get to play past turn 4.
Yeah.
Which happened to me like twice yesterday. Like,
we'll just give us Surgical then.
Nexus never goes to the graveyard.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I found that out the hard way when I tried to mill out a Nexus player with Ashiok. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just exile their last... Oh, wait, no, they never go to the graveyard. They just, like, shuffle back in. Oh. But they need to do something where they're, like, consciously trying to build an archetype that wasn't quite good enough. So that it's a more diverse format as opposed to, like, oh, hey, we just, like, play Esper and Bant Ramp.
Yeah.
So these are all like the exciting things about Historic. They did mention that how they're going to manage the format. They're going to manage it in terms of like they're going to make stuff legal, and then like if the format breaks, they're just going to make it go away.
Yep.
Or they talked about something they mentioned in terms of like suspension.
Okay.
Where hey, for the next month, this card's not legal, and we're going to see what happens, and it might come back, and it might not. I think that's how other games, maybe Hearthstone. I don't think Eternal does this, but I haven't played Eternal in like a year, where they like will like ban something for a little while or maybe restrict it
just to see what happens.
Okay. So it's going to be managed differently than like the paper formats because it's right now purely a digital format. It's easy for them to like turn knobs. Yeah. They can't, I don't think, like errata cards on the fly like the way that like Hearthstone or...
I don't think they should either.
Yeah, like, but Hearthstone and Eternal, like, you'll log in and they'll be like, hey, this card that used to cost 3 energy, power, whatever. Costs 4. Yeah. Or it used to be a 2/2, now it's a 1/2. Yeah. Right, or they can't turn those knobs, but they can just take cards in and out of the format a little more freely. Yeah. So they're going to do that, which I think, at least for the short term, the combination of 15 to 20 random cards through Magic's history combined with we might like turn a card off or turn it back on kind of on a whim is gonna preclude this, at least in the short term, from being like a paper format.
Yeah, at least until the format gets rolling. Yeah. Another thing that they said is that these 15 or 20 cards that they're gonna roll into Historic, they're gonna keep doing that. Like that's not just like a one and done deal.
Every quarter or something.
Well, I assumed it was going to be like with the release of sets.
Yeah. So basically every quarter. Yeah. And that way, I think that does 2 things. One, it keeps the format from getting stale because every 3 months they're just going to throw in
20 broken cards.
Yeah, 20 broken cards. Yeah. I mean, or it could be like dumb stuff like Wild Growth or something where you're just like, this card is not busted, but it's going to let me do a different thing. Yep. And then they have to encourage you somehow to spend money. Right. Because in theory, you could have every card from Ixalan to Throne, to now. Right. Right? And then you only, like, get cards from, like, the new sets, and you're not, like, putting more money into the system.
Yeah.
So if every time they introduce 15 or 20 cards, it takes some card that wasn't playable in the old format and makes it playable, now you have to crack packs.
To get wild cards, to get those.
Yeah. I think we asked, it was like maybe in our chat, are the old packs going to be available?
So I did, after we talked about this in chat, I did find in the announcement they talked about it.
Okay.
You can. They will let you crack old packs, but they're only going to be available in bundles of 45.
Oh. Because like right now you can still just buy like one-off packs from the old sets. So they're just... Because I kept saying like historic packs were going to be in like... And I kept hearing in bundles of 45, and I kept hearing historic packs. I was like, are they making like a historic pack?
No.
But it's just going to be like Ixalan, $50 a pop.
Yep, buy 45 packs of Ixalan.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
But, so they're still going to let you buy those packs. So like if all of a sudden they print something that makes it so Zatalpa, right? The Primal Dawn or whatever, the
white double strike dino.
4/8 flying double strike vigilance. If they print what was that delve card? Soul something that gets like all the keywords of what have you delved away.
Oh yeah, Soul Flare.
Soul Flare. So if they like print a Soul Flare and then like, oh well, now Zapalta's really good. I need to have 4 of these so I can play my cool Soul Flare deck. Well, you have to spend wild cards, or you have to crack 45 packs and hope you get some.
Yeah.
So that's a way to keep giving you money. And speaking of wild cards, how are they getting you on the wild cards here?
So, they have announced, amongst a great amount of, how do you want to say it, discussion from the community, that cards that are not currently standard legal, that includes, like if the card is currently standard legal, but you want the old version, this is going to include that old version. In order to craft that card, you have to spend twice as many wild cards on it.
So, this is going to start in November.
Yeah.
So let's say you need your Zapaltas for this deck, right?
Right.
And you have none of them.
Yep.
It's going to cost you 2 rare wild cards per that card. So to get a playset, it's going to cost you 8 wild cards as opposed to 4. Now, this is one of those things that they announced, and apparently most everyone who plays Arena, like, figuratively on Twitter poured gasoline on themselves and set themselves on fire.
Yeah, pretty much.
And was like, this is an awful idea.
Yeah.
Why are you gouging us? And we will see if this changes.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna walk this one back.
Yeah, I think that, but if they're not, like, if you are like, well, clearly Teferi Hero of Dominaria is like sweet and is going to be playable on whatever format they're going to make, and you have 2, you might want to, after you crack your Eldraine packs and get the stuff you want there, get 2 more before November.
So you don't have to spend 4 on them,
Just in case.
The other thing that I thought was weird about this announcement is that, like, it includes reprints. Or excludes reprints, or however you want to think about it. Like, if I want to play Shock in this format, and I click on M19 Shocks instead of M20 Shocks, it's going to charge me twice as much for those M19 Shocks, even though it's the exact same card with the exact same artwork.
Just the set symbol's different.
It just has a 19 in the set symbol instead of a 20.
And I think that for that to happen, they really need to work on their, like, card interface.
Yeah.
Because, like, right now, like, with 8 sets, it's super cumbersome to, like, go through cards.
Yeah, your collection.
Yeah, your collection is just enormous.
Right.
I don't know, like, I know that they're going to fix this, they said. So, right now, when you build a deck, if you, like, click on, I guess you're building the deck, if you click on, I think, the little bar graph at the top, it takes you to a section where it shows you your converted mana cost and your curve. And I do believe there's a pull-down menu that lets you say if this deck's for Singleton or Pauper or whatever. And then what it'll do is it'll, like, knock out all of the cards that aren't in that format.
Okay.
Or it'll take your 4 diamonds down to 1 if you're doing singleton.
Mm-hmm.
So they said they're gonna move that to not being hidden.
Yeah.
So like as you start building a deck, you'll be able to pick. So you might, just have to always be sure to be like, this is a standard deck, only show me standard legal cards, and it should kick out all those other like printings, so you don't like click the M19 versus the M20.
Right.
But the fact that you're just gonna like be like, oh, shock, click, click, click.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll craft the one I don't have and be like, oh, wait a minute, like.
Why did that cost me 2 wild cards?
This is so dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stuff like that can get lost, too. Like, if you're building a deck and you hit craft all, and it's like, do you want to spend 34 commons, 16 uncommons, 12 rares, and 14 mythics?
Yeah.
Sure.
And
not realizing that half of the stuff you just crafted is stuff that you already have just from other sets.
Yeah, and I think that is a problem that will lead to feel-bads, and it seems like the development team is very focused on not having feel-bads.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll come up with a way to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
But look for that pull-down menu because that's going to like sequester cards off and like change what you're looking at because like right now it's just going to be like a mess.
Yeah.
So again, I listen to a lot of Pleasant Kenobi stuff, and he made a very like good argument that legacy and modern and comically vintage, right? There's this huge barrier to entry and cost.
Yeah, I listened to his rant on this too.
To all like these Eternal formats.
Yeah. And
now we're making a new Arena Eternal format
with a built-in barrier.
And we're putting entry. A barrier to entry into it.
Yeah.
And like, let's say you don't have the checkland, like you don't have your hinterland harbors, because you're like, I've been playing mono red and mono white. I don't have my checklands. Well, now you want to play blue, green, and historic because they lost their minds and they printed prime time. You're like, oh god, I gotta play prime time. Right?
I need to make crack zombies.
Yeah, so I gotta do something, right? And so then you're just like, oh, now all these costs like double, and like really, like the barrier to a lot of Arena are rare wild cards. Like that is the barrier because that's where all the lands sit.
Right.
So now like this person can't like go play historic because they can't get these cards.
Yeah, they're playing a 3-color deck and they need 12 check lands, and that's going to cost them 24 rare wild cards without building the rest of their deck.
Yeah, and they might not have it.
Right.
And like their number one goal is to make money.
Right.
But the way to make money
keep
is
people
to
playing the game.
Encourage as many people as possible to play the game.
Yeah.
In whatever form.
Mm-hmm.
And if they like price people out, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that'll be like, I would spend 12 wild cards on these 12 rare lands, but I'm not going to get to 24.
Right.
Or I'm just not going to like pay that much money. Mm-hmm. Right. So like making it so they like keep logging back onto the client is like job number one, because they're going to spend a random stray $5.
Yeah.
And if they're not logging on, they're not going to spend that $5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're going to have to fix that. But if you have the spare wild cards and there are things that you think that you could see yourself playing in the future, it might not be a bad idea that, mid-October or end of October to be like, okay, have they changed their mind?
Yeah.
Yes or no? If the answer is no, I need to snag a bunch of stuff so that I don't get screwed if I think I want to play Historic.
Yep. So Historic is set to start in November.
Yes.
Ranked play is going to start in December.
Okay.
So they're going to give you about a month to figure the format out before they start keeping track of you. New cards, the 15 to 20 new cards are going to be approximately quarterly, maybe like tied to a new set release. And the only other announcement, or the only other thing that was part of this announcement that I picked up on in my like third read through that I didn't grab right up front, is that every month they're going to do a special Historic format. So how like we just finished the Planecations or whatever, where you got special prizes.
Yeah, we're on like Omniscience draft now.
Yeah, they're going to do those with Historic also. So you'll get like a Pauper Historic format, you'll get like a Singleton Historic format. They're going to do fun things like that also.
And they also mentioned that at least for like this first Historic season or whatever, they're going to do a paid event where they're going to Now, the way they explained it on like the weekly MTG show was that you would do this paid event and they would just give you a play set of all the historic cards. So
wow.
They didn't say what not the old standard historic cards, but like the Brainstorm, Dark Confidant, Wormcoil, whatever's. They had to give you a play set of that. Now, they didn't say how much that event was.
Yeah.
Like, is it $30 to enter? Is it $5 to enter? They didn't say.
Right.
But they said that they would give you a play set for this like historic constructed event.
Yeah, but even if it's 30, like that's probably still worth it, right?
Probably. If like you think
how
you're
many
going to
wild
play,
cards are?
There is somewhere deep in Reddit
where
someone has calculated the exact monetary value of a wild card.
Yeah.
I do not know what that number is, but it exists, and it's probably less than, it probably works out that it's not the 80 wild cards you would, no, God.
Yeah, more than that.
Like, if there was 20, be 160 wild cards to get all of them.
Yeah. Spread between mythic and rare.
Yeah. Probably less than $30. But again, like that's something that once the price comes out and you know if you're going to play historic a lot, then you decide like yes or no if you're going to do that. But then after that event, that's when they'll appear in the store to like buy.
Yeah, I mean keep an eye out for that event because like I said, even if it's $30 and like even if you don't plan on playing historic right away, like that's enough value that it might like preclude you from playing historic in the future.
Yeah.
So you might want to keep an eye on that, and even if you don't want to play in it, sign up for it and get your prizes.
Yeah. We were saying that like right now the way it's set up, it doesn't look like it's going to be a paper format initially.
Right.
But you had mentioned that they've done a lot of stuff to make Arena mimic paper.
Absolutely.
And there's only one thing that they've done to make paper mimic Arena, which is occasionally they've tried out like some best of one like drafts at F&M and best of one like standard events at larger events. But for the most part, they tried to make Arena look like paper. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine if historic is a popular format on Arena, that they will eventually make it a sanctioned format.
Well, I mean, that goes both ways. It's not just Wizards wants to keep things the same. It's players, too. I mean, if you've been playing this sweet historic deck on Arena, like chances are at some point you're going to get some friends together and play historic and paper.
Yeah.
And then, like, when that grows is when Wizards says, we're gonna start sanctioning this. We want, rules to be the same across, all of our platforms, whether it's tabletop or digital. And, we want to make sure everybody can play whatever they want to play.
And, like, this could be... if you've looked at like Modern as having too high of a barrier of entry, this could be kind of like that middle ground, or even if it's just something that's like mainly like a side event level event at like GPs or Star City events, that would still give you a way to like play that. Mm-hmm. And the cynical side of me is if Wizards can figure out a way to like monetize this in paper, they will. So it might take a year or two for them to get to the point where they have enough cards to make like a
historic masters where they can like give you these cards that you would want to play like in paper. But if they can figure out a way to charge you $5 to $10 a pack for these cards, that like on some level they've already done to the like R&D for the format because they've been testing it on Arena forever, then they're gonna do it. That was. So I'm going to back up real quick here. Okay. That was one of the things that I said in our chat when they announced these new cards. Because at that time, they hadn't announced that it was things like Dark Confidant or Brainstorm or whatever. All they said was new cards. So I think one of the comments that I had was, we have this. This is a brand new supplemental product that we just had. It's called Modern Horizons.
Yeah.
So that would be a way, Historic Horizons, that would be a way for them to get these kinds of cards into Historic, whether they're brand new cards or whether they're reprints from, different sets across Magic's history or whatever. That type of set could very well exist in the future.
Yeah, and it could also, depending on what the cards are, be a way to introduce cards into Modern and Legacy, like another reprint product to... reprint like Wormcoil Legends are $30.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they put Wormcoil Legend historic and they don't have to immediately ban it.
Yeah.
Right? Then they could print this product and like Wormcoil Engine is going to be one of the mythics.
Yeah.
So now you've increased the supply of Wormcoil Engines in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it like kind of fills two roles where you might get more people to buy it or whatever. But please don't make it $8 a pack.
Yeah.
Because then no one opens them and you get $80 Ren and Sixes.
Yeah. $100 Ren and Sixes.
Basically, whatever number you say, this is like that joke from back in the day, like about like the inflation in like pick a country, where like you got in the cab and the price was one thing and it was like 1,000 times as much by the time you got to your destination because of deflation.
Yeah.
Whatever number you say for Red and Six, it's $20 more like an hour from now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be on the Red and Six standard as, like, a national economy in a few months. We're going to be like, oh, well, this is 4 Red and Sixes for your flight. Oh, well, thank you very much. Delta will start taking Red and Sixes for payment.
Yeah. National currency.
National
Legal
currency.
tender.
Legal tender Red and Six.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. But hopefully they, get away from their initial, like, desire to gouge everyone.
Yeah.
But, like, if there are some uncommons, I think uncommons will be easy. Like, if you're like, oh, I should get my 4th Ixalan's Binding, or I should get up my playset of Baffling Ends, because those are cards that will probably be played in this format.
Yeah.
Like, those are pretty easy. Like, uncommon wild cards are pretty plentiful. But, with the rares and mythics, like, be real sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, I have a ton of wild cards, and I think I have 17 mythics, and I'm like, I don't want to burn them on, or not even 12. I don't want to burn these on.
Right. Well, there's a lot of mythics in the Kethis deck you just put together.
Yeah, there were. But, like, I don't want to burn them on, fill in the, like, man, I really hope that, what's his name? The big 3-headed dinosaur is playable. I better get
Zakama.
Zakama. Yeah, I better hope Zakama's playable. Like, probably don't go that far.
Yeah.
So that's the big arena news.
Yep.
Now for some deck information.
Some other arena news.
So I may have let us down. We got like a huge amount of off meta this week.
Yeah.
Part of it was I didn't have Kethis as the deck. Ken has requested Kethis, and it is now a deck. It has taken Reanimator's spot.
Yeah. I haven't seen Reanimator. Actually, I don't think I've ever played against Reanimator on Arena.
I've played against it a few times.
Yeah.
Like, what happens is when I see a deck a few times, it'll, like, work its way in. And Kethis was going to work its way in this week.
Yeah.
But Ken just pushed it along.
Yep. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, I only played it a few times. I played, like, 2 or 3 times all last week in, like, 40 or so, or maybe more games. It's not a huge part of it, and I think it's because there's this huge, like, mythic barrier to it. So looking at all the data, again, we had a big chunk of off-meta. It was like 43%. I think part of that also is some of the blue-green decks are hard to qualify.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that fall into ramp, like the blue-green ramp
and
decks.
like there have been some times where like I know I was like, this Agent of Treachery quasi-duplicate deck is not what like I think of when I think of Simic ramp.
Right.
But I think it just needs to all those things need to just get like lumped together as like trying to play 8 mana thing.
Yeah.
And just be like, Simic 8 mana things, and then those are all a deck. Because I know I've brought some of those out. Hopefully, like, we can get this down a little bit. But after the off meta, but as much as I say we have random, maybe bad counting on the off meta stuff, like I played against mono green and mono black in Mythic. And I'm like, how did you get here? Like, how is this a thing? I was like, oh, okay, turn 3, Galta. Okay, I see how we got here.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just, like, sometimes you're just like, wow, this is just, like, a random collection of cards. Like, how am I losing to this? But we had, like, strangely, the most played deck was Esper. Like, that deck just refuses to die. I think I played against it 3 times last night.
Well, let's hope it dies in a month or so.
Hopefully.
3 weeks, I guess.
And then Scape Shift.
Yeah.
And then Elementals was like 9%. And then second best deck in the format, Vampires, was 5%. Ramp was over it at like 7. And again, it might have been higher. But like, it's just weird that it's Esper still. Now, the Esper deck is different. A lot of times they play Bolas' Citadel.
Yeah.
So they like play Citadel and they have...
for their engine.
Yeah, and they have Elite Guard Mage and Basilica Bellhaunt.
Yeah.
Things that basically replace most of their mana when they and Oath of Kaya. So things that replace most of, if not all of their mana that you spent with life.
Yeah.
I think we said this many podcasts ago that like Bolas' Citadel does not seem like it's a combo card. It just seems like it's a hammer and mid-range mirrors.
Yeah.
Like you just slam it and then you play 3 cards and you win the game.
Right.
And that's what the control decks are doing. They play like 1 or 2 and they just slam it and then they play 3 cards and you're like,
It's kind of a shame because it definitely reads like a combo card, and I want it to be a combo card.
It does. Like, again, maybe next core set they'll be like, but I mean, how many of these reads like a combo card do we have / need, right? We have Experimental Frenzy,
right,
which isn't a combo card. It just, play infinite lightning bolts off the top of your deck.
Mystic Forge,
which is, well, at least in Modern, is a combo card, and in Legacy is a combo card, and it's now restricted in Vintage because it's ridiculous. And then Bolas' Citadel, we have like 3 cards that do the same thing.
Right, play
like
off
they've
the top
turned,
of your deck.
Yeah, different knobs a little bit, but they kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, they have to be careful what they print to like make them too good.
Yeah.
But
now, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I got a little side note that a little trail off in the woods I want to go down for a second.
Okay.
But do you remember, like, it wasn't even that long ago, maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, like they used to do the Future League article where they would talk about the decks that like they developed in their Future League.
And we all laughed because they were always god-awful.
Yeah, do they still do that?
Not that I've seen.
Because I remember reading a story about, like, I was reading the design notes for War of the Spark.
Oh, about Bolas' Citadel.
About Bolas' Citadel, and they tacked the thing on the bottom that said, sacrifice 10 permanents, do 10 damage, whatever. Like, all of the games were just taking way too long, because whoever stuck the Citadel would win, but it would take you, another 5-6 turns or whatever. They wanted to speed the games along. Well, where are those decks?
I've not seen them. But, I mean, these are also the people that gave us... what was the card from, I think it was Aether Revolt? There was the green card, your creatures got +X/+X, had Fabricate 2.
Oh, Cultivator of Blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, Cultivator of Blades was busted in the Future League.
Yeah.
I think it got played in, like, one, like, weird combo reanimator kind of deck that, like, existed for 3 days until people were like, this is god-awful. But, like, the card saw no play.
Or what was that card from, was it First Response? From M15? Like, the reason Siege Rhino was so broken?
Oh, it was like 1 and a white.
No, it was like 3 and a white.
And you, like, made...
You made a soldier for, like, every time you lost life during a turn or something?
Yeah, so they had to give Siege Rhino Trample.
Yeah.
Because that card just, like...
Stonewalled it.
Yeah, and it was like... Siege Rhino, Lightning Helix doesn't need to have trample on a 4/5 body.
Yeah, and then like that card never saw any play, so Siege Rhino was just broken.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't seen like the hey, here's what R&D was playing in the Future League, and I don't know if it was just because like what ended up happening is everyone was like, man, these are awful.
Yeah.
Or maybe they actually have people that are better at Magic and, like, they actually have real decks and they don't want to just, like...
Put them out there.
Yeah, dump, like, a real deck.
Yeah, that could
like,
be.
Maybe they had Kethis.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to just, like, put Kethis out there. It's like, okay, you have to find this.
Yeah.
Because, like, before, like, a lot of it was... Like, Michael Majors had a deck. I remember it was, like, some, like, Grixis Reanimator deck with... Yawgmoth's Vial Offering, Baral, and then like big dumb like Bolas things.
Yeah.
They were like the standard break if like you just go all in on like discard and then Yawgmoth's Vial Offering, get back big thing. And it was like, no, but that was the deck they like spoiled from the Future League. And it was like asking a specific question.
Right.
And so I don't know if they are still doing that because they might, have more of the answers.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a question that I was just thinking of as we were talking about how standard is.
Super different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arena was, again, I think missing the off-meta stuff so much. Like in the Diamond chart, it was 53%.
Yeah.
It was mainly Scape Shift and Elementals were the decks there. We had a bunch in Platinum again. Way less off meta. It was like only 30%. Esper, 24%.
Whew.
So there's just a ton of Esper floating around for some reason. Oh, we gotta do the traditional thing. Let's see who the new people who gave us data were. So Dieter felt like personally attacked when I talked about Simic Flash people being trash.
Oh, sorry, Dieter.
He was like, jerk that doesn't let you play spells. Simic Flash, I'm sorry I didn't know I was that guy. You're that guy. Like, you were just like, I don't want you to like play any spells. Oh, Super Dieter. Super Dieter made it to Gold 3. There was regular Dieter, then we got Super Dieter. Yeeting and Deeting is back. Okay. Steve McG on Orzhov Life Game. I think that's a new
thanks, Steve.
New name. And then Steve played a lot. Steve played a lot in Platinum, so Steve went hard. Ken and the normal crew, but it was good to see we got a few new ones in there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hopefully I fixed I'm stubbornly keeping mono red in there because especially with like the Ferocidon
it creeps up
thing, it might show up again.
Yeah.
But again every week I think I've got like most of the decks. But like for example, so there were 139 matches for all of the stuff. The week before, Red Black Sacrifice was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
2 matches out of the 140.
Yeah, so it just fell off.
It just fell off the map. Vampires, best deck in the format, 6.
Yeah.
Jund Dinos, 3.
Yeah.
So it's like super Simic Flash somehow won that I played it like 3 times in like an hour.
Yeah.
But like it just seemed like Grixis mid-range was like everywhere last week, 3.
Yeah.
It just moves so fast. It's super hard to find the sweet spot of like what are the actual decks because like you go by what was good last week.
Yeah.
Or what showed up and then
it's not the same.
It's not the same. So we're trying. I don't think I can like realistically I could make the chart bigger, but like
I think it's fine.
At some point like if we know exactly that like we have 17 or we have 20 decks is the meta.
Yeah.
Right, at some point, like that's not
the meta anymore.
It doesn't help.
Right.
It's like, hey, here's every one of deck.
Yeah.
So we're trying, but I think we have I think it keeps coming back to, especially now, the arena metagame and the standard metagame are totally different.
Yeah, they are.
Like 6 months ago, I think it was pretty fair that it was like mono red, mono white, and Esper were both like the paper metagame.
Yeah.
And the arena metagame with mono red being overrepresentative, right? And then I think like when we had command everywhere, like that was also getting played in paper. Like I played it, played against it.
I think that's kind of when the split started to happen, though, was around when command got big. Like that's when arenas started going a different direction than paper did.
And I don't know if it's like access to cards,
maybe,
or like especially now, like with the Kethis deck, like we said last time, like do you not want to dump like all your mythics into
maybe that's a big part of it because like starting at the command decks,
that was a ton of rares.
They've all been really wild card greedy.
Yeah, so it might just be that people have said, you know what, I don't have the wild cards, so I'm not going
They're just going to play whatever they got. Maybe that might be it.
That might be why we're getting such a wide spread.
Yeah,
and maybe it'll like kind of again like go back to being more fixed when it's less. When there's less sets, so you don't have to cover as many sets with as many wild cards.
Right.
I assume going forward that Arena is going to be primarily standard. Yeah. And that's what they want. Because, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to play Historic a lot unless, like, there's an event. Like, if there's not a paper event.
Yeah, there's no reason to practice the format.
There's no reason to practice the format.
I mean, I definitely play a lot more Arena when I have a standard event coming up.
Yeah. Also, one more thing about Historic. We're super organized today, guys. we might get blown away. We're just all frazzled. Hurricane, Is if you have a deck that has Historic cards in it and you just click unranked play, you will only get matched against people that have Historic cards in their deck.
Oh, okay.
If you have standard cards in your deck and you click play, you're going to get matched against someone who's got standard cards in their deck.
Okay.
You're not going to show up with your standard deck and then get paired against a Wormcoil engine.
Well, that's kind of awkward because what if you have a deck that just happens to be standard legal that's built to combat the historic meta. Like, that's a thing that could happen.
It is.
Especially if there's only, handfuls of new cards, like, differentiating the two.
Yes. They did not go into that. They just said that if you have historic cards, you'll play against historic players. Now, I'm assuming that, like, their Luminous Bonds example, right? If you have the standard legal Luminous Bonds and the not standard legal, if you, like, pick the historic Luminous Bonds, I'm hoping it's smart enough to go, like, okay, the rest of this card it can be in both, and everything else is standard legal, so it's standard, right? Yeah, I don't know if, like, you just have, like...
Oh, he picked his M19 shocks. He must want to play historic.
Yeah, I hopefully it's smarter than that. Like, they always do deck-based pairings in the play queue.
Okay.
So you'll know what you're gonna play against. So whatever deck you have, hit play, and if you're not ranked, you're just gonna go play against someone playing a similar deck.
Okay.
Good to know.
And one more thing, going back to the arena data, you had mentioned you were making a change to the...
Oh, yeah. So before we had it broke down into...
tiers in a rank?
Yeah, so like gold 4, gold 3, gold 2, gold 1. And we did that initially because we thought that you might get paired within your level in the rank.
When we started this data collection process, it was just the guys on our team or whatever, and we had no information about how any of this worked. So this was like the very first ladder. We had set it up like this because we weren't sure how it worked.
Yeah, we thought that, like, if you were in gold 3, you would see different decks than if you were in gold 2.
Right.
And what has kind of shown and borne out is, right, you can see the different size of, like, your icon for your rank. You're like, oh, like, that person has a bigger diamond than me.
Yeah.
So they're diamond 1 and I'm diamond 4.
Yeah.
You're definitely playing across levels within a rank.
Kind of means there's no reason to track that, right?
Yeah, so I got rid of it now. So now there's just the gold sheet.
Yep.
And you just put it in, same like date, time. I haven't been doing the time as much personally.
Yeah.
I know that initially we definitely had a feeling that, like, if you played during the day, you ran into a different set of decks than if you played at night. But we definitely don't get enough data
for that to matter.
Yeah, it's for us to, like, break it out and be like, well, like, here's, before noon. Right. Here's afternoon. We don't have enough data to do that. So we're, just put in the date. And it makes it so I can track, like, when people have entered stuff, so I can just see, like, this person entered from last week or whatever, or did I delete all the data? Oh, well, this is all data from last week. I did not. Yeah. But yeah, so now you can just go to, like, gold and just start, like, just find the first open line and just start entering and go. Yep. So it makes it so you have a little bit less scrolling, especially, like, if you're, like, gold 1, instead of having to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page to do it, it's, like, right up there. I know someone had asked, like, how we, like, enter the data, and I've done it a lot on my phone or my iPad where I have, like, the Google Docs app up. Now I just play with Arena windowed, and I just keep the data in, like, in my Firefox window behind it, and just, like, click over. And, yeah, so it doesn't take super long time. Does not require a second screen. Yeah, and having Arena be a little bit smaller on my laptop is not the end of the world. Right. I don't need to be able to see, like, all the detail of everything.
I've been a little slack lately. This is my my busy time of year. I haven't had a ton of time for Arena lately, but when I was entering a bunch of data, I kept track on a scrap sheet. I just, wrote down
and then
where I was, and then when I was all done playing for the night or whatever, I'd go in and, count up my Grixis matchups, count up my Esper matchups, and just plug them all in at once.
Yeah. Whatever works. But, yeah, so this hopefully will just make it easier. Yep. Just easier to start entering. Because, I mean, usually in any given, like, rank, we might have, like, 15 to 20 on the high end things entered. And with that many, you don't even have to, like, scroll down. Right. You're just good. Yep. So, with all that, we hopefully will start to have spoilers to talk about next week. We'll at least hopefully get to talk about, like, the Monday spoilers.
Yeah, we might get a couple peppered in through the weekend. I'm not sure. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. If not, we'll have Monday spoilers The first couple days of spoilers are usually the big ones where they're talking about the mechanics and stuff. So we should have some of that to talk about.
Yeah, there should be an article coming out soon with like what all the mechanics are from the new set, because I know that like from the art there's like the
storybook thing.
The storybook thing where it looks like it's like an activated ability or something.
We will see.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. So with that, I think we're done here, right?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for hooking us up with your data.
Yep.
Keep up the good work.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can tweet at us at Casual Tripod.
Yep. You can find us on Facebook at Casual Tryhard MTG. You can email us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com. You can find us on YouTube, Casual Tryhard MTG.
I will probably do another sealed or two.
Yep.
We will see how energetic I am.
Yep.
We'll read all the cards this time.
Oh, yeah. We'll see how that goes. We should have another video episode coming up, right? We're going to do that again, I'm assuming. Do a video episode for the next set. And we'll probably also record a pre-release pool for the next set.
That sounds good. We have all kinds of stuff coming for you.
All sorts of content. If there's anything else you guys want us to talk about or cover, give us a holler. We're usually pretty good about messaging you guys back.
Yep. So with that, we'll catch you next week.
Yep, we'll catch you at FNM.